Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome to another fresh edition of your number one program on television, Money Radio. And of course, every Thursday is Energy Focus, where we'll be looking at issues in the energy sector in the country and even far beyond. My name is Winifred Obebo. I'm your host on today's program. And of course, we have my usual in-house guest, is also an analyst, the group business editor of Leadership newspaper, Mr. Anthony Uko. Mr. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much, viewers. On today's topic, we are looking at the Shelved electricity tariff hike, the pros and cons. For many Nigerians, and that is electricity consumers, they feel that, wow, finally, great relief for them that the planned electricity hike tariff was shelved, because considering the situation of that we have already on our hands, talking about fuel subsidy removal, and that is another energy that is on the high side. And on this program, we are looking at the pros and cons. Is it too soon for us to rejoice, including me, because I'm also a consumer,
Of course.
like every other Nigerian? Is it so soon for Nigerians to rejoice? What are we in for? This is going to be throwing more light as a stakeholder in the sector.
Well, we'll just say.
But instead, before you go in, I want to say that for many consumers who bought electricity, they were of the opinion that they've actually started the tariff increase, because when they bought unit, they discovered that it has reduced considering what they used to obtain for certain amount. How true is this?
Actually, the new tariff was to take effect from July 1st.
Yes.
However, the feelers that I have gotten personally from consumers is that the rates are still the same. Nonetheless, there were some people who bought energy tokens before the before the distribution companies came out with a public notice. Because what some of the some consumers are saying is that they noticed that some distribution companies have actually implemented the hike, the increase in tariff before they came out with a public notice.
Exactly.
So I think it is those who had bought before the public outcry that led to the distribution companies being forced to step it down that will be experiencing this. On the other hand, too, because of the notice, by the time the distribution companies came out to announce that there was going to be an increase in tariff starting from July 1st, a lot of energy consumers rushed to stockpile electricity units,
Yes.
to prevent them having to start paying the new tariff immediately. So many people who bought, they are still on the tariff they bought before the July 1st deadline. So it is it's very difficult now. Many people have not bought new tariff. Have you bought tariff after the?
No, I haven't. And unfortunately for me, my new place abode is I'm still using the line of my landlord.
Okay, so
That's why I say fortunately for me.
Okay, so I too have not bought any tariff since after July 1st.
Okay.
So I'm yet to experience
You
personally.
I
bought before.
Okay, we are among those that are rushed to buy.
I've not even imputed the one I bought. The one that was there before the disclosure, the public notice by the discos, is what I'm still using. Electricity supply is so erratic that for those of us who are privileged to be on are privileged to be metered, you find out that you load your meter and for a long time you've not exhausted
power
what is it, because of power outages.
I actually experienced that 3 months back in my former place. No, it's a now that it has been shaped, the planned electricity tariff has been shaped. Now, that's what we are saying, the pros and cons. To me, many people see it as a sort of Damocles, just like the fuel subsidy was before the removal during inauguration, presidential inauguration. Are you saying it that it's something that is eventually going to happen, just like the fuel subsidy?
Yeah, if you look at the
Mm,
electricity,
mm,
the laws governing the sector,
mm,
it has already been programmed into the law. There's the multi-year tariff order, the MITO, which is embedded into it, is a 6 monthly review period. The MITO is supposed to be reviewed every 6 months for the minor reviews, and then every 5 years for a major review.
mm,
So it's inevitable that the MITO has to be reviewed. And the media review should have kicked off from July 1st. Unfortunately, it coincided at a period where there has been so many reforms by the new
yes, administration.
administration. It came when fuel subsidy was removed, and that resulted in a hike in the pump price of petrol, and then that has spiraled down to transportation, to food items, and all whatnot. And then also we've seen the administration also moving to unify the exchange rate by removing the peg that the Central Bank of Nigeria had on the exchange rate. And so with this, we have seen a lot of things that depend, and I would say many things in Nigeria depend on the foreign exchange because of the high import dependent nature of the country. So a lot of the things that the electricity, the distributors as well as the generators they have to use to run their operations are largely imported. So this has affected. And inflation as well as the exchange rate, they are major components of the computation for the MITO, the multi-year tariff order. And so it's inevitable that the tariff has to be increased.
Now, that's a 6 months review that you talked about. So it is a must that when they meet every 6 months, they have to review
It,
upward. So it has to
actually,
be upward, reviewed upward, or can they
it's
review downwards?
actually a review. So which means that it could be reviewed downwards. But
That's what I
if you,
want to hear.
yes, it could be reviewed downwards. And I've seen a few occasions for some, not like the band A or band B, but
Okay.
we've seen the situations maybe in lower bands like the C or the D, where we've seen minor review, downward reviews in the past. But majorly, because of the economic dynamics in the country, what we've always had has been upward
Upward review.
reviews. And then the current situation has further exacerbated the scenario, which means that a downward review is not in the offing at
For
all.
now.
Yeah.
Now, insert considering the fact that, how many households, by the way, are metered presently?
The metering shortfall is actually very high. As at the first quarter, we still have like seven over 7,000 7 million
Household
households
not metered.
not metered. In fact, the metering figures seem to be will I say reducing, but this can be a function of new households coming up. New houses are being built and so on, and so it increases the number of households, the consumers within the electricity supply industry. So because before now we saw a situation where it was alluded that up to about 50% had been metered, but as at first quarter of this year, we have seen that figure dropping again to around in the neighborhood of 48% being metered. So it means that we still have
New household.
more unmetered customers than we have the metered ones. And then there are others that are not even captured anywhere. They are neither unmetered or metered, but they, of course, they are unmetered, but they are not even brought into, what I'm trying to say, into the financial,
yes,
circle.
captured,
They are not captured,
they're not captured.
meaning that they use electricity for free. Nobody brings them estimated billing, and they are also not metered. So it means that if you are to look at it in its entirety, the figure could go as low as 30% being metered or captured
No,
into
it's
the
what
payment.
don't you think that
cycle.
because like you mentioned, about 7 million households are not metered, could it be also a contributing factor to the dismal performances of discos too, not able to realize money from these households that are not really metered?
It's very possible, because these areas that are not metered
Or captured.
they consume energy, and all of this energy is from what has been allocated to the distribution companies from the transmission.
gensons.
Yes. So once this is transmitted to them, they are expected to be distributed, and then revenues collected. So it's a key determinant to how much they are able to collect. And so far, as at um, first quarter, the energy tariff shortfall is in the neighborhood of 2.5 trillion. And
So I'm trying to get it. Energy tariff shortfall. Okay,
yes,
shortfall.
shortfall
That's
from
loss.
the energy that is supplied versus the revenue that comes in. So
How is that?
the distribution companies have not been realizing their revenue, the revenue for the electricity that is being supplied to them.
Wow, why is that?
The same issues that we're talking about: energy theft, some areas not being captured in the bill payment structure, and then where vandalism of infrastructure and all of that, and all this contributes to the distribution companies not being able to collect all that, to collect the bills for the energy that is allocated to them.
Wow, this is really, really so. So, in a nutshell, what you are saying that these discos they're actually running at a loss.
That is what
But
generally
taking now
we've been
trying
made
to
to
make money
understand.
from those that are metered by increasing tariff, is that the best way to go?
The tariff actually, based on their own computation of the MITO, is based on is a service-based tariff, which means that the payment, the tariff is determined based on the level of service being enjoyed by
By
the consumers, and so they've computed it, and they feel that that is the
If you
fair
have to
value.
enjoy
Yes, electricity for up to
yes,
in fact, as we speak,
you have to pay more
yes, there
for
are
it.
some people, who have access to up to 20 hours a day and upwards, and those are the ones in the A band who should be paying more. But we find out that there are so many people who are on A band who are not actually enjoying up to 20 hours of electricity supply. Yet they are paying for the A band. So that is where the injustice of it comes in. You said for people to pay this much, they are supposed to have at least 20 hours of electricity supply, which means for the remaining 4 hours, many people will not have recourse
Yes.
to go to self-generated power, like going for generators and all that,
solar.
and solar. So that would have taken adequate care of the energy needs of the consumers. But this is far from the reality as we have it.
Mm, it's far from reality. Okay, we are going on a break, short break, by the way. And when we come back, we are going to be talking more on this planned electricity tariff hike. That is the shared electricity tariff hike and what to do and what to expect. Don't go away, just stay tuned.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
You're welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Energy Focus on Money Radio, reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, and I'm with me in the studio. I have the group business editor of Leadership News newspaper, Ise Anthony Ugo. Ise, thank you so much once again for your presence in today's program. And the topic for our discussion is shelved electricity tariff hike, the pros and cons. Of course, we are all aware that the NERC issued a statement that by July 1st, there was going to be an electricity tariff hike. But however, due to outcry, I want to say outcry, they said they came out again to say it has been shelved. Now that it has been shelved, should Nigerians relax? Is there an end to the tariff hike, or is it just like a time bomb waiting to explode? Instead, where are we now presently?
Yes, like you said, the tariff increase was to be implemented from July 1st. July 1st has come, and it's progressing into the month, and we have not seen this being implemented. However, it's not a time to rejoice for the consumers, because it's an inevitable situation. Like the distribution companies came out, they issued notices that intimating the public of the planned increase. They were also the ones who came out to say that okay, they cannot implement it because they've not gotten the regulatory approval to do that. And so right now, the regulatory body, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, says it has finished its work and has passed it on to the presidency.
Okay.
So it's awaiting presidency's approval or disapproval on the other hand. So the sector now, the system is waiting on the presidency for the go ahead, whether to implement the increase or to stay action. But of course, this comes with, of course, consequences for the federal government. Because if we've seen a situation where the federal government is seeking to answer everything subsidy. And that is what we have seen play out in the with petrol, where the subsidy has been removed. And like I have mentioned on this show today, that the distribution companies are not able to realize their full value, tariff value, because of people not paying up. Even the government itself, government agencies, they are owing the distribution companies, and all these have contributed. And before now, the federal government have been paying, bridging the gap between the tariff that should be collected and the shortfall. So they have been paying subsidy, some form of subsidy on electricity consumption, because where the generation companies have gotten all their components, the gas, they are manufacturing their machineries, they've gotten them oiled and working around the clock to ensure that power is generated. At the end of the day, gas has to be paid for. They have to pay their gas suppliers. They have to maintain their operational costs and all that. So yeah, it's not being if they are not paid, the system will break down. So the federal government has been stepping in to bridge this gap, and it means that while there are still deficits on ground, which the federal government is still servicing, it means that if the electricity tariff is not increased at this time, it means that the burden on the federal government to pay for the electricity that is being supplied will increase. So now it now lies with the federal government to decide whether it is willing to take up this extra additional burden of paying further shortfall on electricity consumption, or to transfer that burden onto the consumer. But of course, we have to look at it from the point of view that all of those things are coming at the same time. We've had the subsidy on petrol being taken off, and then the foreign exchange free float. So it's a form of a moral burden on the federal government, I would say, should everything go at the same time. And what will be the plight of the common man?
Yes, that is where I'm coming to instead. Now we have in Nexus, we have fuel subsidy removal, with fuel now selling at 537 naira per litre, and that is an NNPC price, while other independent marketers sell fuel at 540 naira per litre. We also have domestic gas now selling for over 10,000 naira for 22.5 kg. And now also with a planned electricity tariff hike. What is the solution in all this for the consumer?
That is why the outcry was so loud. In fact, we saw most of the people who were agitating for the removal of fuel subsidy. We saw them coming out this time around to say, no, the burden will be too much at the same time. So it has actually been a case of wrong timing of all these policies. Mounting them together at the same time has been too much of a burden on the consumers. More so when we've not seen any form of palliative measures put in place by the government to cushion the impact of this on the masses. And we've not seen, and for most of the people, of the workers, salaries have remained static. So a lot of the things they have to buy, the cost of living has gone so high. Meanwhile, the income has remained static, and in some cases have reduced. So the burden is much on the consumers, on the populace. I don't know how the federal government will wiggle out of this. I don't know how the federal government will wiggle out of this.
Now, for the consumer, how would you advise them to cope, to navigate in all this?
It's a tough one consumer,
It is.
it's really a tough one. But I think they just have to find a way of cutting down on consumption, cutting down on waste
Okay.
primarily.
Because just
before
as
now,
okay.
we have seen a situation where many consumers have not even gotten to the point of consciousness where they put off lights that are not being used. They
Yes.
ensure that appliances are not
Switched off.
are switched off and not left. Even when you keep a switch on, and then even though you are not using it,
Yes.
there are
It's
still some
running.
there's still some elements
As long as it's on.
as long as it's on, there's some consumption that is going.
Absolutely.
So I think this time it's a wake-up call for most consumers to become more conscious of their consumption patterns, to ensure that they don't waste, they avoid a lot of waste. And we have seen a situation as with the first subsidy thing, where a lot of some offices have had to cut down.
Yeah, and some are going solar.
Yes, some are going solar. But then we have seen, that the initial cost outlay for solar is on the high side. And so a lot of people find it difficult. So, but we've been seeing the rural electrification agency stepping in to supply some solar house units to some areas. But technically, their mandate covers the areas that are not that the national grid does not, the off-grid areas, that is where their mandate covers. So I don't know whether there can be a way they can extend their services to some areas that are on grid, just to cushion
them alternative.
Yes, give them alternative and cushion the impact of what is to come.
Okay. So, like, just before we go, we just have a few minutes left. Now, Issa, will you say that this electricity tariff is like an impending, I don't want to call it doom, that must eventually happen? Will you say that? What are the factors that could actually turn the tide?
The factors that could turn the tide would mean the naira exchange rate stabilizing and then beginning to improve.
Okay.
That is one factor. And then another factor would be inflation actually improving.
Okay.
And what is the possibility that we will see this happen in the short term?
It's new.
So what that means is that it is an inevitable thing, except the federal government is willing to bear this burden for the people, bearing in mind the numerous other costs that has gone up as a result of subsidy removal on petrol and the foreign exchange free float.
Okay. It's really, really unfortunate. It's on this note, viewers, that we come to the end. We actually draw the curtain on today's program. We've been talking about Shelved electricity tariff hike, the pros and cons. Until we come your way, same time, same station next week. I am Winifred Ubebo. You do take care. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.